Do you sometimes experience financial stress? If so, you are in the right place. Our speaker today is an expert in developing better financial habits. He's written several books, including Yes, Money Can Make You Happy, and is working on a new one, Financial Misbehavior. He is a co-founder of TM Wealth Management, a firm that has been named top financial planning practice for doctors 3 of the past 4 years for all the doctors that are here. When he's not speaking, writing, or thinking about money, he spends time with his wife and 3 children and plays guitar in a rock and roll cover band. Quick word of warning, he thinks he's funny, but he's not. Help me welcome Martin Hurlbert.
Thank you, I appreciate that. How many of you were here last week? Okay, so you heard some of my quotations. I have 3 different quotes in this book, and there's copies for everyone up here when we're done. If you agree with this quote, let me know. A woman's work is never done, especially the part she gives her husband to do. Does that sound about right? Okay, this one's a little deeper. By John Wooden. It's what you learn after you know it all that really counts. Last one I'll share with you here right now is by Jackie Mason. Remember Jackie Mason, the old comedian? He said, I have enough money to last the rest of my life, unless I have to buy something. Anyone agree with that or build up like that? Okay. Hey, whenever I speak, I always have 3 goals in mind. First of all is to have fun. Is that okay with you? Small crowd today? I don't care. Let's have fun. Second thing I want to do is teach you as much as I possibly can in our 1 hour together. And then the third and most important thing is to help you change the way you look at yourself, the way you look at your money, and how money impacts your life. All right? True story. The wife of a very prominent doctor came into my office a couple years ago. Within 5 minutes, she was literally crying, in tears. She explained to me that her husband finished medical school a decade earlier with about $500,000 in debt. He was a specialist, so that's a reasonable amount of debt for a specialist. $500,000. 10 years have gone by. He's earned about $300,000 a year for 10 years, well over $3 million, and now they have $1 million in debt. They're going the wrong direction. Financial stress is tearing them apart. They're on the verge of bankruptcy and divorce. What would you recommend? What would you tell them to do? I knew immediately that the problem really wasn't financial mismanagement. That was a symptom of a deeper issue. More about them in a moment. So, when it comes to financial success, this became a quest of mine about 20 years ago. My mom sent to me a newspaper clipping. Now, for you young guys here, this is like when they actually sent the actual newspaper clipping, the piece of paper, not a link to the article. Remember those days? So she mailed me to California an actual clipping from a newspaper that explained about 80% of all professional athletes will end up declaring bankruptcy within 5 years of leaving the sport. They go from millions, sometimes tens, or even hundreds of millions of dollars to bankruptcy. Now, can we define bankruptcy? What does that mean? That's not nothing. It's way, way below nothing. It's like deep, deep. Oh, one of them was Danny White, quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys in the 1970s. $13 million in debt. He declared bankruptcy. So I asked myself way back then as a brand new financial advisor, why in the world does that happen? They get all the money in the world, how can they go bankrupt? So that began for me a lifelong quest to figure out why smart people do dumb things with their money. Now let's be honest here, how many of you are thinking, Martin, athletes aren't that smart? Are you thinking that right now? One of the things that my quest showed me is that, yes, while they do it and it's spectacular, it's on all the newspapers, on the ESPN, we as ordinary people tend to do the same things with our money quite often. So I read a book and get my hands on financial behavior, financial or psychology of behavior, psychology of success, and I've lectured about this, I've written a few books. This is my absolute life's work. And I can summarize the most important lesson I've learned into 7 key words. And if you apply them consistently, they will always make your life better. You want to know what they are, these 7 key words? My life's work, my life's passion, my life's mission. Summarized in 1 sentence, here it is. Emotions can be hazardous to your wealth. That's what I've learned. So what I'm going to do today is explain to you what I mean by that, how it impacts you, and what you can do to hopefully minimize the impact of emotions when it comes to financial management. And to understand the relationship between emotions and financial management, let's do a very brief summary of the brain. You heard last week there was a pretty good class on the brain. We're not going to go in that much depth. But the brain basically has 2 parts. We have the right side, which is emotional, it's creative, and the left side is logical. What is the right side's primary motives? What is it seeking? It wants to get pleasure and avoid pain. And when does it want to do that? Right now. Short-term thinking, right? That's the right side of the brain. And it has we survived as a species for many, many millennia because of that fight or flight instinct. Okay, so it's very, very powerful. The left side is logical. It wants to look at all the possible courses of action, compare and contrast, and pick the best possible thing. Now, life is good when these two sides of the brain are working together. They're working in harmony. But here's a challenge we'll face now. Information overload. Our brain is being tasked with so many choices, our brains are not built to handle it. There's a great book out there called The Paradox of Choice. Here's my copy of it. It's all written up and marked up. But basically it says this. We have so many options now, so many choices designed to make our lives better, when in fact it's making our lives worse. How about this? You ever bought these fish crackers? Okay, what's the purpose of fish crackers? Healthy snack? Not so much for that. What's the purpose? Yeah, okay, distract the kids. Make the kids stop crying in church or the back seat of the car, whatever. It's to make the kids stop crying. If you just walk in and that chair over there's an outline, fill-in-the-blank outline, that'll help you out a little bit. But the purpose of fish crackers is to make the kids stop crying. So you go to the store to buy fish crackers. I took this picture in Target about 3 weeks ago. Oops. There we go. There's your choices. There's 36 varieties of fish crackers. All you want is for the kids to stop crying. And now your brain has to process and analyze of all 36 varieties of fish crackers, which one's best for your baby. I was doing this class about last summer, 6 months ago, so in Lehigh, and this lady raised her hand. She said, vanilla cupcake. What do you mean vanilla cupcake? That's my kid's favorite variety of fish cracker, and it's right there. Vanilla cupcake. I didn't believe it existed. My kids are older now. All right? So that's just one very small aspect of how our brains are being overwhelmed. Try buying a cell phone, or how about a TV these days? There's hundreds or there's thousands of choices. In this book right here, The Organized Brain, I'll refer to it again in a moment. Daniel Livingston says he was a professor, and he saw this exchange student from somewhere in Eastern Europe in the bookstore, crying, again, totally stressed out. And he asked this lady, what's wrong? And she says, well, there are like 50 different kinds of pens. Which one's best for me? Because where she came from, if you were lucky, you had blue ink and black ink to choose from in the Soviet Union. Again, overwhelmed by choices. Dan Ellington goes on to say that when our brains are overwhelmed, in fact, it says, of course, like this, it's our neurons are made of living organisms. They need oxygen and glucose to survive. So our brains are obviously living things. And when our brains are overworked, overtasked, we experience fatigue. Has your brain ever felt tired before? Ever felt tired that you just couldn't think anymore? Okay, according to Dan Ellington, that literally happens. Our brains experience fatigue. He goes on to say, every Facebook status update, every email, every tweet is competing in your brain with resources, with important things like whether to put your money in stocks, bonds, or cash. So information overload is basically making our brains shut down. And when that happens, the emotional side takes over. Go back here. This side here takes over. Now this was actually demonstrated in a study at MIT. They asked students at MIT to memorize some numbers. One group had to memorize 7 numbers. The other group had to memorize just 2 numbers. But that wasn't the experiment. What followed was, they said, hey, thanks for participating. We appreciate it. Would you like something to eat before you leave? And they offered them some cake or fresh fruit. One of these groups, they almost all chose cake. The other group almost all chose fresh fruit. Any guesses? Okay, those who memorize 7 numbers, they choose cake or fruit. What do you think? Cake, okay. Anyone say fresh fruit? Okay, those who said cake, you're right. Exactly right. Those who memorized 7 numbers, they chose the cake. 2 numbers, they chose the fresh fruit. They concluded, the scientists concluded, the reason was those who memorized 7 numbers, their brains experienced fatigue. It was tasked with a more difficult challenge. So it temporarily shut down the logical side, and this voice in their head said something like this, cake, good, me cake now. Heard that voice in your head before? Right? It doesn't make any logical sense, it's emotional. So imagine you're going through life, making all these choices, which of the 36 fish crackers you're going to buy for your kids, and all this stuff, and then you're trying to make good, logical choices with your money. So, here we go. Let's imagine right now, how many of you have people live in your homes? You might call them a spouse. They might be little kids, right? Little people called children who live with you. They want time and attention. You work for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. You spend time with your family. You're trying to pick out which fish cracker is best for you. It's now 9, 10 o'clock at night. You are totally exhausted. Your brain is checked out. And you think to yourself, oh, that's right. I've got that 401k. My old job. I've been needing to roll it over. Okay, I got to take care of this. So you go to the source of all knowledge and wisdom, which is what? Yeah, Google. You type into Google, 10 o'clock at night for bed, how to invest. This is what pops up. 267 million websites on how to invest your money. Does that solve your problem for you? Okay. What if you looked at 100 websites every single day? It would take you 73 years to get through all those websites. Would you accomplish anything at all? No. And on top of all these websites, all conflicted, you got this. We have the Wall Street Journal, you got CNN, .com, or Money, Fortune Magazine. How about this guy, Jim Cramer on TV, screaming at you what to do with your money? You ever seen him before? Pretty entertaining. And if you're not totally confused yet, you got this. Fox Business News, and all these numbers going across the bottom of the screen. So you now have this important financial choice to make. It's 10 o'clock at night, your brain is dead, tired, and you get this overwhelming, conflicting information. You feel like this guy right here. Does that look familiar? Oh, just make it stop. And when you're in that state of mind, there's one of two things will probably happen. One is you'll make a decision. I get over with, I don't care anymore. Now, when you make a decision, that frame of mind, is it the logical side or the emotional side you think that has more influence? It's probably the emotional side, right? And that's why sometimes you look back 6 months later on some choice you made, something you bought or an investment you made, and you say to yourself, what was I thinking? Okay, chances are you literally were not thinking. You were reacting emotionally. That's the first option we're rolling. The second option is you postpone that decision. You throw it in your financial junk drawer. Now, how many of you have junk drawers in your kitchen? Does it look kind of like looks kind of like this right here? Okay, what goes in your kitchen junk drawer?
Everything.
Everything, all right. Does it work?
No.
You're not sure if it works. You're not sure if you're ever going to use it again. You don't know what to do with it, so it goes in the kitchen junk drawer. Oftentimes I sit down with individuals and couples, their financial life can best be described as a financial junk drawer. They got some life insurance policy they bought from a brother-in-law 5 years ago. He's already quit the business. Yeah, but no idea they should keep it or not. Should they? I don't know. In the junk drawer. Or maybe you got this savings bond for your grandma when you're 5 years old. Okay, for me that was a long time ago. And it's got this savings bond in your junk drawer. What do you do with it? I don't know. I was actually sitting down with lunch with an old Army friend of mine. I spent 15 years in the Army National Guard. This guy, very successful business owner, highly educated, became a major, maybe a colonel in the Army. Really smart guy. We're having this casual lunch. He says to me, you know, Martin, about 10 years ago, I married my wife. At the time, she was in her mid-30s, and she was a single mom with 3 kids. Do you think she was struggling? Yeah, that's not easy, right? But they get married, she quit her job, and he says to me, Martin, she left her 401k at the old employer. Maybe you can help me out. Give me some ideas what to do with that. Well, that's a big part of what I do for a living. So I said, sure, I can help you out. And just to get a rough idea of what his options were, I said, do you have any idea what the balance is, just approximately? And what would you be thinking in your mind? Single mom, 3 kids, 30s. I'm thinking it might be, $10,000, maybe $20,000. He says to me, Martin, it's $150,000. This hardworking, smart, successful gentleman and his wife have a $150,000 account where? In their financial junk drawer. And every 3 months you get the statement, look at that statement and go, oh, yeah, I should probably do with this. What was that? And back in the junk drawer. Okay? So if your financial situation right now can best be described by this picture right here, do you know what that makes you? Makes you normal. So everyone else don't feel too bad. Okay? So whether you postpone the decision or you make the emotionally based decision, all this tends to add to stress. How does this stress impact us? One study showed us this. Those with high levels of financial stress are 2.5 times more likely to suffer from ulcers that kind of pit your stomach. 5 times more likely to suffer from depression. Now, when depression enters a family, how do you measure that cost? Can you put like an interest rate on that? Depression equals 18% interest. It's beyond measure. It can sometimes tear a family apart. So it can be very, very serious. Look at the last one right there. If you have high levels of financial stress, 10 times more likely to suffer from headaches or migraines. Now I'm going to be very careful with this next statement. And it's for the men in the room. Gentlemen, If tonight your wife has a headache, chances are she'll need an aspirin. She needs less financial stress in your lives. So get your financial house in order, reduce the stress, and she might have fewer headaches. Does financial stress impact relationships? It impacts everything. It's my belief that your financial health impacts your spirituality, your health, your emotional well-being. Everything's impacted by money. So should we talk about some solutions now? We talk about the problem, right? Information overload leads to poor decisions, financial stress, headaches, ulcers, depression, all kinds of bad choices, and it's this endless cycle. How do we break free of it? So we're going to have a look at your fill-in-the-blank outline. This is the first fill-in-the-blank. We're going to talk about a big myth. Here's the first big myth. Money does not solve financial problems. People think, if I just had some more money, life would be so much better. And when they get the money, what do they do with it? You've had this class before? Yeah. Okay, there you go. Come work with me. Okay? You're right. They just spend it. If money solved financial problems, every lottery winner would live happily ever after. But they don't. This is Andrew Jack Whitaker. At the time, the largest single jackpot in American history. The day before Christmas, 2002, he bought his ticket. Can you read that number right there? Just shy of $315 million. When he won that lottery jackpot, he was already worth $13 million. He had 100 employees, very successful contractor. The guy was no dummy when it comes to money. And yet, 2 years later, he's on TV, he said, I wish I would have never bought that ticket. It destroyed his life. His wife and him were separated. He's being sued by countless people. And worst of all, most tragic of all, his 16-year-old granddaughter, who he was raising and he loved dearly, was dead. He said when he got all that money, he told his granddaughter, you know what? Bought her a brand new fancy sports car, a Mustang, I think it was, and gave her an allowance of like $5,000 or $10,000 a month. You're not going to go school anymore, honey. You know what? Just enjoy life. Now, if you're living in West Virginia, you're not going to school anymore, you're 16 years old, you got $5,000 or $10,000 of allowance, what are you going to do?
Kill yourself in a Mustang.
Yeah, she's hanging out with the wrong crowd, drug overdose. She died of a drug overdose because she had nothing there to do but party and get high. So that jackpot tore his family apart, killed his granddaughter. So if money doesn't solve financial problems, what's the real answer? It's the next fill in the blank. The real answer is this. Financial success comes from making better choices. Now I'm going to tell you right now, please do not dismiss that statement because it's simple. It is very simple. More often than not, the things that lead to success in life are the simple things. Want good relationships? Focus on the basics, right? Want to succeed in business? It's the basics. Same thing for good health. And also money management. Now here's the challenge. What drives our financial choices? Yeah, thank you. Remember the phrase that pays? That's right. Emotions give you hazardous true wealth. Emotions drive most of our financial decisions. We buy things because of how it's going to make us feel. If you have a new car or a used car, it's based on how you think it's going to make you feel. The way you dress, where you vacation, it's all very emotionally based. I know the men are thinking, no, not me, Mark, not logical. No, not true. Okay, money is a very emotional thing. And so how do we kind of get that under control? Well, I'm now going to show you 3 simple ways you can better manage your money. You can begin to make better choices than other people. And that's the key to success. The first one is this. Define your purpose. There's 3 P's there. So write down first P is purpose. Clearly define your purpose, what matters most to you. When you clearly define your purpose, you can now achieve my definition of financial success, which is this. It's next on the blank. True financial success comes from using your resources, which is your time, your energy, and your money, to enhance the things you value most. See, when our resources and our values are in alignment, that's when we have peace of mind, we feel better, we begin to succeed more. But to the extent that your resources and your values begin to separate or disengage, that's when things just don't go anymore. You don't feel as good, you're not sure what it is exactly, but life is just not as good. So you have to clearly define your purpose. Let me ask you this question here. This is the first thing I usually ask people when they come to my office. What does financial independence mean to you? When you hear those words, what comes to mind? Give me like just 2 or 3 ideas around the island. What does financial independence mean? Yes?
Being able to do whatever you want without worrying about your income.
Okay, so do what you want. I'll say no worries, right? No worry. Or anything else that means to you?
To me, it's find what you need without assistance.
Okay.
I mean, even that simple.
Okay, so buy, we'll say with no assistance. You need it, you can get it, right? Your kid needs braces, you go get your kid's braces,
Yeah.
right? Without thinking about it. Let's get one or two other ideas. What does financial independence mean? Holly?
Not needing anybody to bail you out.
Okay. Can I say then,
Same thing.
let's see here. It is kind of something that isn't yet buy with no assistance. Let's get one idea up there. Yes, sir.
Not living paycheck to paycheck.
No paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck to, okay, PC means paycheck right there. Let me have one more thing. How about this? Does it just mean, how about no debt?
Yeah.
Right? No debt?
Being able to save and give to charity.
Yeah, okay, how about that? Okay, no debt, we'll say slash you can give. You can be generous with your money.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we can go on here if we want right now, but imagine you're there. Imagine your position, financially speaking, where you can do what you want and never worry about it. You can buy things without any assistance, and you do what needs to be done rather than what money dictates you do or don't do. I can remember early in my career, it was rough for me. It really was. There was no money. And my wife would look at our car and she pointed to the tire and say, Martin, are those wires supposed to stick up the tire like that? Here's how I'd respond. What wires? I don't see any wires. Okay? Because I didn't have 20 bucks to go buy a used tire. I've been there. I know what it's like. So yeah, so imagine there. You can do what you want. You can buy with no assistance. You're not living paycheck to paycheck. You have no more debt, and you can give generously to causes you care about. Imagine you're there right now. What would that do for you personally and for your family? Try a few ideas down here. Yes.
Reduce headaches.
Would it reduce headaches?
Reduce headaches.
Or reduce headaches. Okay, reduce headaches. There we go. Yep, reduce headaches. Oops.
Don't have to work 14 hours a day.
Okay, so less work. Again, how would you feel about the impact your family? Let me ask you this. Would you have better or worse relationships? Probably better relationships. Right? Can I put that in there? So better relationships. Now we could go on here, and I'll stop today, or here right now. But I want to suggest that this is what it's all about right here. Hey, financial management, money management is not about getting bigger portfolios. Now I hope you do. If you practice these things I'm going to teach you, you will have bigger portfolios. You will grow your net worth. You'll pay that debt faster. Life will be better. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is this. So you have fewer headaches in your life. So you have less, you don't have to work as hard. You can enjoy life more. You can have better relationships, less stress. This is what it's all for. And so you'd ask yourself, is my financial decision I'm about to make, whether I buy this car or that car, is it going to move me towards these goals or away from them? And if you use that, you make better choices. That's actually the next fill in the blank in the outline. You have a clearly defined purpose, it makes your choices easier. Now, not always easy. I get tempted by stuff, like everybody else, buying stuff I can't afford or don't really need. And that's okay, we have that. But if I measure that against my values here, life is much, much better. I've got a couple of websites. I don't think it's on your outline, this one. This has tm-wealth.com. That's my financial planning website. There's another one called ifmoneycouldtalk.com. That's in this little book right here. You're going to get a copy of. But on the resource page of If Money Could Talk, there's a page called, or download called the self-assessment. I highly encourage everyone to get the self-assessment. If you're married, okay, get one per spouse. And then you answer these questions. It's basically asking you what's important to you. It's kind of like this thing we did right here, but you can do it by yourself. I've had many couples say that after they went through the little exercise, the stress in their marriage went down. The understanding increased. So if you get nothing else today, I encourage you to go to lincolntalk.com. It's free. Get the self-assessment and take a little time to do that, okay? Here's another reason why you want to have a clearly defined purpose and why it helps make our choices easier. This picture was taken at 1 minute past midnight, when the very first iPhones were sold here in Utah County. That's outside University Mall, the AT&T store. How do they look right there, those people? Excited, maybe beyond excited, ecstatic, right? They're, oh man, he got an iPhone, I can't believe it. They're literally applauding for a guy buying an iPhone at 1 minute past midnight. Now the caption below here, which you can't read, and I've crossed her name out, says this. This is pretty much the single best experience of my life. The single best experience of this young lady's life was spending $500 on the phone at 1 minute past midnight. What happened to the price of that phone 2 months later? Do you remember? It dropped by half. Now we're on the 6th generation of iPhone, plus some other upgrades, probably really 7 or 8 generations of iPhones. The single best experience for life is obsolete. Do you know anyone who has the original iPhone? Maybe a paperweight? A doorstop? Right? The single best experience of her life is obsolete. Do you think that was really part of her value system? Spending $500 on a phone at 1 minute past midnight? No. Okay? If she had measured against these things right here, I don't know her personally, but there's a decent chance she may not have bought that phone at that time. And I'm not picking on iPhones, I'm an Android guy myself, but we all have our own version of the iPhone. You mentioned I'm in a rock and roll band. For me, my iPhone, or version of the iPhone, is guitars. How many guitars does a guitarist really need? Just one more. And you get that one more guitar, cool, hey, look at that one. And just one more. Here's one, this one I just bought this and this little wireless microphone here. Because I can, all right? It's fun, it's cool. I was really excited to buy that. And actually, I'm using it. Okay, so what's your version of the iPhone? Yeah, maybe it's guitars, maybe it's keyboards, maybe it's jewelry, or it's travel, or it's cars, you know, whatever it is. We all have those things, and it's okay. If you notice this too, oftentimes when you buy something, it's the anticipation of buying it that gives you the most pleasure. Then you actually get it, and it's kind of, oh, okay, geez, it's not, wow, it's good as I thought it was. Hopefully it doesn't like your marriage, I hope. Thanks for laughing. We've all been there, right? Had those days. But okay, so we get all caught up. This is the last one link for this section right here. Generally speaking, like this young lady, or with my guitars, when you're out of control of your spending, you've lost sight of your purpose. And you're trying to get happy by buying stuff. Does stuff make you happy? Rarely. Again, we already talked about this. It's the anticipation of buying it that gives you most of the joy. So spend all the time you want thinking about buying stuff, just don't actually buy it. And you'll be 80% happy. And a lot less money being spent. So the first thing is you clearly define your purpose. Here's the next thing. You develop a plan to support that purpose. How many of you know your number? When I say your number, I mean how many of you know the dollar amount you'll have to have one day so you can retire? Okay. 2.5 maybe? 3? Okay, that's good. Excellent. If you don't know your number, what does that make you? Normal. Okay, you're like most people have no idea. And if you get a 401k, you throw some money in there, they match it, or you do some real estate, or whatever you're doing for investments, and you hope it all works out. Here's why it's important to have a plan. Next fill in the blank. Having a plan makes it much more likely that you'll succeed. That you're actually going to get there. That these things right here are going to happen in your life. Let's imagine you're going to take a trip from Los Angeles to New York. You're going to drive. And we know that New York is east and north. Now you could get in your car with no plan. Just start driving east till you hit the ocean, then take a left turn, make it to New York. Right? Would that work? Did it get you there? Well, and let's imagine no GPS, no maps, no plan whatsoever. What are some of the potential pitfalls of trying to get to New York with no plan?
Lakes.
What's that?
Lakes.
Lakes, okay. Danger, I suppose. You could drive into a lake by mistake. Any other pitfalls to having no plan for this trip?
Flat tires, run out of gas money.
Okay, well, yeah, you run out. What if you drive too far and run out of money? You didn't budget that much money. Absolutely. Okay, here's my list of potential pitfalls. Get lost, put your family in danger. True story. My wife and my daughter, my daughter was 15 3 years ago. They went to Escalante. My wife's a very adventurous person. Very free, just go with the flow, right, in the moment. She went off this paved road in search of some waterfalls, obscure waterfalls. 15 miles off the paved road, our van was a van, and she finally got stuck in the sand. In Escalante in July. They had one water bottle between the two of them. They had one can of pineapple. I said at the last second, they might get this can of pineapple juice or can of pineapples. Luckily they did, because they ate that. They had survived on that. It took my wife and daughter about 3 hours to get a cell phone signal. And they said, okay, Martin, she's in fact, I'm here in Escalante, and the van's stuck. I don't know where the van's at. Well, where are you? She gave me the name of the road. I get her down to about a 15-mile stretch for where she was at. And I called the tow truck people. Okay, we'll look at your wife. Tow truck guy goes off the paved road, radios in, says, no, we can't go there. So 90 minutes after calling the tow truck, they call me back and say, sorry, we can't go down that road. It's too dangerous for our tow truck. Finally, and my wife and daughter, again, they're walking, they're trying to find a road and cell phone signal. Finally, I called the police department. They found my wife about 6 hours later. And it was about 2 weeks after that someone else died in the same area because of exposure. So yeah, you could get lost, okay? Flat tires, how about dying? You know, hard to track progress. You mentioned that wasting time, gas. You might drive a whole lot farther than you need to. How about meaningful milestones? What if it's important to you to see the world's largest ball of yarn? Who's with me on that one? And you might drive within 1 mile of the world's largest ball of yarn, but because there's no plan in place, you don't even know it's there. You go right past it. You miss meaningful milestones. And last right there, you may just never arrive. Right? Now, if you have a plan, of course, you avoid getting lost, you avoid putting your family in danger. Life's a lot better when you're tracking progress. I learned this, many years ago, driving back from California. My kids, what kids always say, hey, are we there yet? How much longer? I learned to tell them that our home's on mile marker 264. So look at the mile markers. And they can track the progress from St. George all the way to our house. Right? Brilliant. Use your time and gas more wisely, only drive as much as needed. Of course, you're going to enjoy the journey far more. If you want to see the world's largest part of the yarn, you'll do it. And you're much more likely to arrive. So it's a part of a plan. Now, what your plan should do, at a minimum, is this. It's the next on the blank. Okay, project your future needs, what they'll cost after inflation is factored in. On the surface, it's pretty simple. It can get a little more complex. Here's a sample one. Here's a doctor who wants $10,000 a month in retirement. This might be a 401k, so not 401ks, a pension, Social Security, his savings, 401ks. Okay, the red here is not good. Red is the gap. That means, according to this projection right here, this doctor is not on track to retire. Now, when do you want to find out about that gap? The day you retire or right now? Okay, there's a quote here in my book that says the best time to save money was 10 years ago. But the next best time is today. So if you do this analysis, you find there's a gap, you got some red right there, now you know, yeah, you could maybe postpone retirement by a couple of years, you could save more now, you could spend less then, all kinds of options. I did this plan for a guy, a gentleman with a PhD, very, very smart individual. He has nearly $1 million in a bank account. He's scared to invest it, doesn't want to lose it. $1 million. We did analysis for him, though. We found out that if we invest that money modestly, get about a 5% rate of return, okay, which is not too hard to do with investments. Modest investments, 5% return. He wants to retire right now. I said, well, we can't really do that, but if you work half-time the next 3 years, then you can retire. So having that plan gave him his number. Now he knows that he makes really good money, about $300,000 a year. He'll work part-time, choose his best clients, drop his income by half for the next 3 years. He's still going to enjoy life. He loves what he does for a living. And now he can retire. The red's all gone. Now, the software I use is called Money Guide Pro. I recommend you use it if you can get it. Here's another way of looking at this. There's a scenario, someone wants to have a certain amount of money for retirement expenses, some travel, a new car or truck every 5 years. They have an 80% chance of making it. Now, this particular gentleman here wants to retire at age 70, once again on $10,000 a month. And they're 80% likely to make it. That's pretty much the green zone. They're good to go, right? But suppose he has a really, really bad day at work. I'm not going to make it to age 70. I want to quit now. What he does is he goes online, clicks on what we call the play zone right here, and this comes up. And it says, all right, let's go from age 70 to age 66. He just moves that marker, I'm going to retire right now, 4 years earlier. What happens to his percentage of making it, or is it likely to making it? Goes from 80% now to 44%, or 44. That's not very good. He could have it right here, and he could reduce his income needs, he could save more money, but basically it means this is a living, dynamic plan. It adjusts every single day. It's always updated. And if you have a stressful day, you can say, all right, I'm out of here, and that might give you a reality check. Okay, go apologize to your boss. Might need you to, or get your job back, whatever the case is. But I like this plan because of the way it's always changing, it's always being updated. Now,
What is that website?
MoneyGuidePro.com. Now it's available primarily through financial advisors. If I do a financial plan for someone, I do charge for that, and I do the software at no charge. They actually have a brand new program just launched a few months ago, where it costs $50. $50, you get access to all that. They give you a 90-minute webinar. You go through the whole thing online. They set the whole thing all up for you, and then you can do it all. Now, if you go through my firm, It does cost $50. That's my cost. I just basically doing my cost for you. And we give you unlimited access for as long as you want. There are some firms will do it for like a year. And after a year, you got to pay some more money. My firm, if you want that software and you don't want to talk to me, all you got to do is call us and Morgan, I want that software. Pay $50, cover my cost, and then it's yours. You can have it if you want. When you're creating a financial plan, it's important to understand and discover your money DNA. Also, I call it your money personality. Go back to that example with that doctor. Okay, the doctor and his wife, they both did their money personality. Turns out he was a spender, she's a saver. Would that cause some conflict, you think, maybe, in their lives? Here's what happened. This guy did, he's OBGYN, so he's delivering babies, that's long hours, it can be stressful sometimes. He would relieve stress by spending money. That's what spenders do. They get emotional release from spending money. So he'd sneak back into his office, he would go online to Amazon and buy stuff, and packages would be arriving at the door, a couple times a week. He wouldn't open them, he wouldn't use them. His wife's a saver, and they're going deeper in debt. How did it impact her anything? Get all these packages on the doorstep. She's just beyond herself. What are you doing? I can't believe it. We got twice as much debt. Okay, we're not saving any money, and you're buying all this crap. So I understood this about them. Here's what I suggested. All right, said Dr. So-and-so. Your goal is to save $2,000 a month. He could easily save $2,000 a month. He was making $30,000 a month. Save $2,000. And every time you save $2,000, you get to spend $200, 10% of it. Just blow it. Anything you want, and your wife can't complain. Now, was he happy with that plan? Okay, if you're a spender, whether you spend $2,000 or $200, it doesn't matter. It's the same emotional release. So he was okay with that. Was his wife okay with that? What do you think?
No.
Yeah, because now they're saving $1,800 a month. So if she gets the occasional package through the mail that he never even opens up, she's no more stress. That's okay, because we save $1,800. See, that's the kind of plan someone can live with. There's another way of looking at your money DNA, money personality. Imagine you're going on the freeway, whatever speed is comfortable for you, we'll call it 75 miles an hour, and someone goes whizzing by you in the fast lane, 90 miles an hour. What do you think of that person? Do you praise their driver skills? Now you're probably thinking, geez, what a jerk, they're danger on the streets, they should lose their license. I can't stand guys like that. And while you're having those thoughts, this happens. You come behind someone going 10 miles an hour slower than you, and you can't get around them. So do you praise their cautious nature? No, you're thinking, geez, what a jerk, they're danger on the streets, they should lose their license. I can't stand this. Can I get a round of applause for the graphics? I did that myself. Isn't that awesome? See, I love you guys. I got on film too. Excellent. Here's the moral of the story though. Anyone who drives faster or slower than you on the freeway, you just don't get it. It makes no sense. It doesn't feel comfortable to you. It doesn't feel right. It's wrong. And it's very similar to how we manage our money. Those who take more risk or less risk than you, it makes no sense. You don't get it. Those who spend money differently than you don't get it. And can I be honest with you right now? There's a good chance you're married to that person. We often marry our opposites, and that's where conflict comes. It's not because of money, but because of a lack of understanding about the money, a lack of respect for the differences. And there's pros and cons to all personalities, but here are the personalities. You got saver, spender, steward, likes everything in order, be just right. The adventurer, of course, they're the risk takers. Then the avoider doesn't want to talk about money, get careless about money. Those are the basic money personality types. If you go to moneycould.talk.com, there's a button there that says money personality. Click on that, answer 20 questions, and a day later, I'll send you a report. There's no charge for it. I highly encourage you to do that as well. Get your money personality. Understand that. Okay, so we got to define your purpose. Develop a plan to support the purpose. Make sure the plan is aligned with your personality. Yes?
Sorry, what was the money personality test for that?
Where's it at?
Standing personality test yet?
It's a money personality. It's on the website, ifmoneycould.talk.com. If Money Could Talk. And this is the name of the little book right here. I've got a copy for you. Okay? But if you're not right, it's a paper at moneycould.talk.com. All right, so we define your purpose. The plan is to support that purpose. The plan is in alignment with your personality. If it's not, you're not going to stick with it. It's like some fad diet, right? Very temporary. The last thing here is performance. What impacts your performance? Here's a key phrase right here. Now we're going to talk about investments specifically. Emotions can be hazards to your wealth. This next chart right here represents every investment ever invented. They all go up, they all go down, right? Stocks, bonds, real estate, precious metals. And what happens when it goes through the cycle? Well, when your investment's going up right here, up like this, you're thrilled, you're euphoric. Oh, this is awesome, Mark. Can I buy some more of it? What does the box right there tell us? It's a point of maximum risk. You should be most concerned about that investment category, and you feel great, want to buy more. How did everyone feel about real estate in 2007 before it collapsed? Right? They loved it. I mean, I had people tell me, Martin, my neighbor just bought a lot, for a $40,000 lot with 10% down. It's $4,000 down. They sold that lot a year later for how much money? At least 60, maybe 80,000. Let's call it 60,000. That's a $20,000 profit on a $4,000 investment. Martin, can you do that for me as well? And I'd say, no, I can't. Absolutely not. And please stop buying real estate. Very few people listen to me. Those same people come to my office in 2009, 2010, says, Martin, I bought this lot for $80,000. It's now worth $30,000. My mortgage on it is $70,000. What should I do? I'm pretty good at what I do, but I'm not that good. I would say, go back in time and don't buy that lot. You see the power of emotions? So it goes in this downward cycle here, you're a little anxious, then you're in denial, you know, it's only temporary, it's going to be okay, and eventually between despondency and depression, you can't take these losses anymore, and you sell the investment. What does the box down there tell us? The point of maximum financial opportunity. You should be buying it then, and you don't want to, because emotionally it just feels, ugh, you can't do it. That guy I mentioned has the money in the bank, the $1 million in the bank. You know when he put the money in the bank? He wasn't stock mutual funds. He put that money in the bank account in the summer of 2009. If you remember, that's when the market had just bottomed out. Had he kept it there, it would have grown 3 times since then. His nearly $1 million, but actually it was like $850,000. It would be worth now about $2.4 million hard. Had he not kept it in the bank account. Was there a real cost to him then? Okay, what emotions can be hazardous to your what? To your wealth. Emotions cost this guy about $1.6 million in growth. That's real money. But let's put some more numbers on this here. This is a study that was done by Dalbar, recent 20-year period. The average in the stock market was 7%. Average investor got 2.1%. Yellow down got 14%. Now, if the stock market does 7%, why would the average person in the stock market be only 2%? Here's why. Because they buy in the stock market when it's up here, and they sell when it's down. It's emotions, that's why. Now right there, what I did here is I show you, if we invested $100,000 in each of those returns for 20 years, there's the results. So the average investor in the stock market goes from 100 grand to 152. They didn't even double their money in 20 years. That sound a little familiar to some people here maybe? Right? We're feeling kind of like that. How about this? Okay, in the stock market, yeah, 400 grand. That's a pretty decent increase over a 20-year period. BL endowment, $1.6 million. It's the same 100 grand, same 20 years, roughly the same investments. Yellow endowment has just things that we can't do as individuals, some things, okay? But huge, huge difference. Here's something else that yellow endowment does that most people either can't do or won't do by themselves. And that's this. Use alternative asset classes to build a non-correlated portfolio. That's in your outline. Now, why would I say use alternative asset classes to build a non-correlated portfolio? Any ideas? First and foremost, so I can impress you. Did I sound smart when I said that? Were you pretty impressed? Someone say yes, so I can go on.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. But that's not the real reason I say it. This is one of the most misunderstood things out there, is proper diversification. Most of us are not properly diversified. What alternative asset classes means is just beyond traditional stocks and bonds. Here's what Yale Endowment learned. Back in 1985, they had this much money as U.S. stocks, as U.S. bonds, and foreign stocks. Back in 1985, they had about 90% of their money in traditional stocks and bonds. Where is it now? 2016, see the numbers right there? Roughly maybe 20% in traditional U.S. stocks and foreign stocks and bonds. If I look right now, all your investment portfolios, if you have one, your 401ks, IRAs, whatever, chances are you're probably 80 to 100% in U.S. stocks and bonds. Way too volatile, way too up and down, and way too emotional. So what do? I'll give you an example in a moment, something else, but they do real assets. They'll buy direct ownership for real estate, private equity, absolute return funds. I'll give you an example of that here in just a moment right here. Here's what I want to let you know. Look at your portfolio. and make sure you're just not in stocks and bonds. If you are, you're up for a rough ride, an emotional ride. Get diversified into real estate in all kinds of categories. Okay? We'll talk about that now. Here we go. Another thing they do, if the yellow endowment, is they use managed portfolios. Now, managed portfolios do not predict the market, but they react to it. Here's, I guess, like a little polygonal diagram right here. If you don't see that, then it's kind of small. Okay, if someone's managed a portfolio, they're going to look for these trends. They're going to try and get out right here, and then get back in right there. Pretty simple, right? Now, what do you usually hear from the mainstream media? Just buy and hold. Just buy and hold. Have a long-term perspective. Well, you know, that may work for you. It may not. In the decade of year 2000, that approach got you about a 1% rate of return with 2 major corrections. So it doesn't always work. Managed portfolios, I think they're much more effective than they do work. There's my clicker here. I'm going to give you an example one. I'm going to blow this up here in a second here to show you a little focus part. This is a 10-year managed portfolio. Got a long-term track record, goes back to 1997 as track record, and they manage corporate bonds. All they do is corporate bonds. And either they buy or they sell. They buy the bonds or they go to cash. That's it. You see right here? And this is a 1-year period, so there's 2 adjustments that year. There's 3 or 4 adjustments that year, but they get out there. There's the very bottom, but they got in right there. So they're not perfect. They're trying to get out near the top, back in near the bottom. So it's not day trading. They make 4 or 5 adjustments a year. You guys know how to make $1 million day trading? I'll tell you a secret. Start with 10 million. Thanks for laughing. Someone's still with me here. Okay? So let's not kind of blow us up right here. This is when Lehman Brothers collapsed and the recession started back in 2008. Bond prices, corporate bonds, collapsed by about 30%. They got out there. They avoided a 30% loss for their clients. They got back in on Christmas Eve. Now you see right here, there's a little peak. This one they got out halfway down, didn't they? Again, they're not perfect. And there's the very bottom right there. They get in right there. They're not perfect. I said that enough. It's not perfect. I don't expect magic. But here's the bottom line. Since 1997, their worst year was minus 0.17. The most they've ever lost is less than 1%. In 2008, they're up 15%. 2001 and 2002, they were positive each one of those 3 years when the tech stocks were collapsing. Their average return about 11.2% versus 9% for the stock market. They've actually outperformed the market with less risk. So Yale Endowment does things like this. Now, you might ask yourself the question, well, Mark, why doesn't everyone do that? It's because you don't know about it. You used to have $1 million with an account like this. But with technology and competition, you get into cases like this or approaches like this for as little as $25,000. So that's much more accessible for people. Okay, so it's become more and more popular. I think that's here. I may have some copies of that. Do I? There we go. Here's a copy of the year-by-year returns of that. If you want, you can take a copy with you, all right? Just shows year-by-year how they did. So, Yale Endowment gets emotions out of the equation. These alternative asset classes, they use managed portfolios because they can't have a 40% loss 1 year. They can't just buy and hold because they've got a university to run. Same thing with BYU and the U of U. They need steady returns. I think you do as well. There's lots I want to talk about as far as all these steps, and I'll give you a little summary and a challenge. Measure your progress. Put that in your outline there. Measure your progress. I have a lot of clients. Most of them I would just call average, ordinary people, probably just like you. I have a handful of clients though who are multi-millionaires. They got lots and lots of money. And I go with my closest thing. Every time I talk to these multi-millionaires, they know where all their money's at. It's in the top of their head. They say, yeah, Martin, I got $1 million with you, Martin. I got $500,000 in this development project over here. I got $2 million over here. And they track all their money. So here's a key question for you. Do you think these guys accumulated millions and millions of dollars and thought to themselves, you know what, I should probably start measuring my progress. I should probably start keeping track of this. Or did they start keeping track in the very beginning? And that's why they have millions of dollars now. Measure your progress. So no matter what investment strategy you use, with me or somebody else or by yourself, I don't care. Measure your progress. One of the best things you can do is sit down every 3 months and measure your net worth. Add up all your savings accounts, your investments, all your assets, subtract liabilities. What is that number? Watch that number every 3 months, at least. If you use Money Guide Pro, it's done for you every single day, if you want to. Every single day, there's your number. You can check it out. Don't look at every day, that's too often, okay? You got other things that worry about, family and work and things like that. But measure your progress, okay? Now, let me ask you a question here. How have we done so far? We're going to be a challenge in a moment right here, but did you have some fun this morning, I hope? And you learned some things, and you're starting to look at yourself and your money differently? How many times have you been in a presentation, maybe like this, that wow, that guy was really smart, that was awesome, I'm going to do this. And you get home, by the time you get home, you've forgotten half of it. Has that ever happened to you before? Okay? By that evening, you've forgotten 90%. And within 5 days, you're like, what presentation? If you've done that before, raise your hands. Okay? All right. I recognize that. I know that. I've been doing this now for about 20 years, speaking about this and writing about it. Here's what I want to suggest to you. I want to make available to you. Every time I speak, I give anyone in the audience who wants it 1 hour of my time at no charge. I call it discovery meeting. We can review this right here. We can look at what your needs are, what you're trying to accomplish, and I'll do my best to answer any financial question you have. Okay? There's no charge for it. Now, if you want that software, that's $50. I'm not going to lie to you about that. So it may cost you something. I got free resources. I got free guides. I got this little thing right here, my Financial Success Guide. It's a self-study program that I started. It's $20. Okay? So I highly encourage you to just come talk to me on the phone or whatever. If you want to do that, where's those things at? I thought I had it or something. Well, that's right. There's a little bag right here. There we go. Yeah, fill one of these out. Say, Martin, I want to come talk to you. Just give me your name and your phone number, and we'll do that, all right? Okay, no charge. Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mike sat through things like this before, and I always, in my mind, think, oh, Nathan will handle it, or I don't, it's over my head. Like, do you feel like it's, like, I could learn this type of thing? Like, I get the day-to-day stuff, but when you talk about the stocks, I mean, I'm just starting to go back to work, and I think,
Okay.
we'll have money again. That would be nice. What are we going to do with it?
Well, that's a great kind of start line. That's awesome. That's a very good question. If you're a wife or trust your husband to do it all, you know what that makes you?
Idiot.
No. Well,
But that's what I've done.
I would say normal. I would say normal because a lot of spouses do that. But if you apply these principles right here, if you sit down with your husband and you clear define your purpose, what matters most to us? What are we trying to accomplish, first of all?
Like that.
Then you create the plan. Okay, to retire at a certain date, you're going to save so much money every single month. Okay, that's going to go a long way to helping you out. And you can do all the day-to-day stuff, that's fine. And then you have your investment plan, right? And then if you do the last step I said, to measure your progress. So every 3 months you're saying, okay, how are we doing? If that number is going up, he's doing a good job, let him do it. Awesome.
Sometimes I feel like the reason why I tend to be the more spender is because I'm not involved in the day-to-day. Like, sometimes I would like to be, but what would that look like as more of a team?
Yeah, when you have when you have a plan, it gives you better perspective, and also for the plan purpose. When you have better perspective, you make better choices. Now, not perfect choices, but better choices. And life is all about simply learning to make better choices. And yes, if you are the person who let your husband or wife make all financial decisions, yeah, like I said, don't do it. Talk about it. Okay? Talk about it. Look at it. Measure your progress. Use Money Guide Pro. Use a piece of paper. You get a piece of paper and you can write down your assets and liabilities. And every month, you look at that. How are you doing? And if your spouse is doing a good job, then fine, let them do it. If you want to get more involved, to be better at spending, that's wonderful. But if you'll do these 3 very simple but powerful steps, you'll do better. Okay? But that's kind of my vision I want to tell you right here. Imagine having a really defined purpose. Imagine a plan to support that purpose, and it's based on your each unique personalities, so it's more effective. And then you do the things in the third step, and you watch your performance on a regular basis. Your financial junk drawer will turn into something like this, where everything works, it's all in its place, and that's pretty good, right? That feels good, everything in order. But here's the most important thing of all. If you do these 3 steps, do you think that these things are more likely to happen? Have less stress in your life, fewer headaches, right? Have better relationships. This is what it's all for. Okay, it's been my pleasure sharing this with you this morning. Thanks for being here, and I'm done. Remember, it's your money, it's your future. Please take charge. What's the basket at? The money? The money basket? Do I have to take it away? Can I have it? I'm gonna send, these are, if you want these little quote books, you can have it, it's free. But I'm gonna suggest that you donate another $1 or $2 for the book, if you want to, totally up to you. But the books are up here, okay?
So other than the books, what are all the websites?
Well, the one website's on my tm-wealth.com is on the outline.
Okay.
The other website is If Money Could Talk. That's got the free downloads. If
Okay.
Money Could Talk.
Okay.
And I'll use your reminder, my number's in the book, you can call me anytime, okay?
Do you have a website? Do you blog? Do you
I don't
have
blog,
a Facebook
I don't.
page or anything like that?
Not an official Facebook page, no, not yet.
Okay.
Well, I will say this too, I'm actually teaching this class for the same basic message, but for pre-retirees. I think in about 4 weeks in Provo. If you know someone who's approaching retirement that might enjoy this class, because they're really worried about money, trust me. Like this guy with $1 million bank account, let me know, I'll invite you to that class, you can write another name right here. And if you belong to a business or organization that might benefit from this, let me know. I'm actually teaching to Big O Tires in a couple weeks. Because when employees apply these principles, they have less stress and they're more productive. If you help me find a business or organization that hires me to do this, I will give you 20% of my speaking fee as a finder, or finder's fee. I know we charge about $500 on Wasatch Front, so you can $200 if you refer me to a group who hires me. So you let me know right here, okay? Thanks.
Well, let's round of applause for Mark Hurlberg.